Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We got ZZ and myself, Hayes, in the building. Gifted is out on podcast PTO. He's dealing with some stuff. Y'all send prayers up to Gifted, man. ZZ, bro, last day of the NBA Cup. We're going to get into some topics. There's a lot of storylines coming into these NBA Cup games tonight that we do have to break down at some point. But hey, the trade rumors are starting to pick up around everything right now. Built a lot around Jimmy Butler, and teams maybe position themselves if he does become available. You got teams like the Brooklyn Nets who are ready to blow it all up. You got my Chicago Bulls that may be looking to move some things. Like when you look out in the trade landscape right now, do you think that there are going to be any big names that end up getting moved at the trade deadline?
Bruh, I don't know. It's always tough to grasp when you have to look at situations like that because you think to yourself like, okay, what is this team's uh biggest issue? For Miami, for example, Jimmy Butler has been there for 5 seasons now. And what you have was two NBA finals appearances, rather, Eastern Conference Finals championships to show for it, I guess. But the it's ran its course essentially. So for me, Jimmy Butler missing games and the Heat having slow starts. Like last night, I was watching that game against the Celtics, and Duncan Robinson couldn't hit a damn thing. Could not hit a damn thing. But the offense, if you watch the Heat's like offense, it's literally just them like crashing to the cup and then jump stopping, pump faking, and then looking for whatever's happening around the perimeter. And that offense is really just like predictable at this point, even with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. Like it's not that much, even though before Jimmy got hurt, he was going a little stupid in his last like 5 games or whatever, but it wasn't, it's something that we've seen before and other teams have seen before. And I look at like the Boston Celtics and I'm like, yo, this is the team to beat. Do you have enough to be able to contend with this team if you match up in a potential playoff series? And the Heat, like running it back year by year. The Heat and the Lakers always do that shit for some reason. They're just like, all right, we almost did it last year. Let's try it again. Nah, bro. Jimmy has his time is up. His time is over with. Like I could see him getting moved. If not at the trade deadline, this will be his last season in a Heat uniform. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's heading into that direction. Now he does have a player option at the end for next season of $52 million, I think. But I think if he makes it through the entirety of this season in a Heat uniform and he opts into that contract, which he's going to opt in, they're gonna look to move him right away.
Exactly.
Like, it just seems like unless right because there have been some rumors that the Heat are also interested in Kyle Kuzma. Unless they somehow put something together, come up with a crazy trade, and the Heat go on another magical playoff run, even then, I think that it right still on the wall. Jimmy's on his way up out of there, man.
Yeah, like you said, the writing is literally on the wall, and it's been there. Like I was talking on a panel with Chill, and Chill had told me he was like, when you really look at it, like they're gonna look to build around Bam Adebayo, and I was like, well, we've still been waiting for like certain assets of Bam's game to develop that still aren't there offensively. So I was like, how sustainable is that? I mean, I'm willing to, I'm betting to think that they're willing to roll the dice on that. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't, but it's something that it's very interesting, like thinking about like where they were at their peak in these last 5 years and where they're headed. And it just doesn't seem like a positive direction. Even if they get Kyle Kuzma, like how much is that really going to help them? Is that going to help them more than Terry Rozier? Maybe a little bit, but like I don't know if Kyle Kuzma is putting fear, especially Heat culture. Like I don't know if Heat culture and Kyle Kuzma will mix, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's one thing about Heat culture. You never really know who's going to work out there because it seems like they get players and they tend to buy in, right? So
Yeah.
look out for that. Another player whose name is growing as far as in the buzz is Brandon Ingram. Now he did hire Clutch Sports as his representation. Usually that means that a sign of something's coming because you don't just hire Clutch when everything's just going smooth. Now Brandon Ingram has been the guy who mainly has been able to stay healthy for that Pelicans team in a season where everybody's missed some significant time. He's even missed some times. Out of the 22 games, he's played 16 of those games. We knew coming into the season, the roster really didn't make sense. They were going to probably try to look to move him and maybe some other pieces. Do you think Brandon Ingram has done enough? And is this signing with Clutch, is it a sign that maybe an extension is going to get done, or do you think that they're going to get him out of there by this trade deadline?
I mean, I feel like, and that's the Pelicans are another team that I think is ran their course. Like as much as I hate to admit it because I love Zion, bro is another season away from officially being labeled as a bust, and it's one of those weird scenarios because it's like you can't really label him as that and put him in the same tier of bust as Kwame Brown or Anthony Bennett because you see the potential. It's just the consistency isn't there, and it sucks. But the Pelicans have tried, man, since 2019 to build this team around Zion, and it sucks because when you look at the acquisitions that they made, they were good acquisitions. They had good, uh, you know, second and third options, sixth options, seventh options, good bench rotation pieces, and they were developing a culture, right? That was out of the that went completely out of the window because of the injuries that everybody has sustained from CJ McCollum to Zion to DeJounte Murray and Brandon Ingram. Like you said, he's been their Iron Man, so to speak. But that isn't saying much. And the only thing that it is saying to me is that bro is trying to up his trade value at the end of the day. They're gonna like the Pelicans have to make a move at the deadline. Don't know what that move is, don't know who it's gonna involve, but they know that they're in a situation right now, especially when you talk about like where they are in the standings and trying to build. It's not an impossible feat for them to be able to at least make the play in, but they're not playing for anything this year. They're 4-18 at the bottom of the Western Conference on a 9-game losing streak. Like, what more can I mean? You could say, oh, well, it was just a bad start to the year because guys are hurt, but they've went through this guys are hurt process it like multiple times in the last 3 years, and it has amounted to nothing.
You're right. And this could be the year where they do the pivot. And the reason why is because this is a deep draft. They are at the bottom of the bottom of the league a lot. They do own their own first round pick outright. They also have the Milwaukee Bucks pick. As long the Milwaukee Bucks pick is protected 1 through 4. If it's 5 or lower, the Pelicans get it. So the Pelicans have a chance to have 2 first round picks in the deepest draft in the last handful of years. And this may be that year where if the season does in bad form, it may not happen at this trade deadline, but at the draft leading into that, they could sell off a lot of their pieces and just finally go in with what I'm basically they'll be repeating exactly what they did when they got rid of Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a full circle moment. Sucks for them, but I mean, they like in my head. I'm like, what other choice do you have? Like, you're below the Jazz, you're below the Portland Trailblazers, like, and everybody knows in that organization that is not how they expected the first 22 games of their season to go. Like let's be so honest right now. But yeah, sucks to suck, man. That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, especially like you said, like Zion doesn't deserve to be put in the same name as some of the other busts because when he was on the court, he did basically everything that you thought and wanted him to do.
Right.
He just has not been able to stay on the court, and it's one thing after another with Zion. And eventually, like, I mean, hell, there were those rumors that the Pelicans could waive him outright. Like, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. That would be wild. That would be so wild.
Like, it's just like it would be really unprecedented, I think, in a lot of ways. So, yeah, the Pelicans got some tough questions that need answers between now and the start of next season, and some of that may gain some clarity at the trade deadline with who they move and what they're able to get back in some of those moves. But regardless, I would feel as the Pelicans GM, you got to feel like, hey, either way, we're in a good place to have a major reset in this draft with this record right now, and there's really no incentive if your players can't get it together to try to make these win now moves, because this team is so far off, and the player that you're trying to build everything around in Zion isn't able to stay on the court. Matter of fact, me, you, and Gifted talked about at some point the Pelicans have to start building this roster around a different player. And then if Zion's healthy, it's a little benefit to them. This could be the offseason where they do that with them having their own first round pick outright.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like when at this point, because like we said, the writing's on the wall for Miami, but New Orleans, it's kind of been there, and they've had a little bit of leeway, at least from the fans, because it's like you can say, yeah, they're going through injuries, but at the same time, it's like, yo, y'all got to do something. How long do y'all want to keep going down this trend? I'd hate to be a Pelicans fan. I don't know how many there are out there besides the ones in New Orleans, but damn, like I would be.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. They also waived Alfred Payton today after he
saw
played
that.
good for them. But
Mr.
yeah,
21 assists. Shit was crazy.
yeah. You know what? There's always that one performance at some point during every season that you're just looking at it like,
Did
what?
that really happen? Like, like yeah.
Exactly. Now, before we get into the NBA Cup talk, man, I also want to talk about the Sacramento Kings. This is a team that they made the acquisition of DeMar DeRozan. They hoped that it was going to help put them on a path to be to contend more, or leapfrog what they did last year. You look at last year; they had a record of 46 and 46 and 36. They're struggling right now to start the season. There's always that little buffer where you got to learn to play with DeMar DeRozan, but it's more than that. They got 9 wins so far in the season, and in the Western Conference, that could be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. For me looking at the Pelicans, Chilltown Hoops, for me looking at the Pelicans, it's something, I mean not the Pelicans, the Kings. It's something that I was interested to see how this offense would look.
Mhm.
And they're 10th in offensive rating, right? So that's not, that's something that you can't just look past. That's good enough given the circumstances of being, I think, what, 2-3 games below 500. So when you talk about like giving people leeway and giving them time to get adjusted to a new environment, that's something that you can easily throw out through the first 22 games, right? Send Chill the link if you can, Hayes,
I
in the
got
chat.
you. I got you.
But yeah, it's something that you have to look at and you have to give a little bit of time to. In the case of the Kings, I feel like they can turn it around to an extent to be able to be a playoff team, right? They're not as bad as like the Portland Trailblazers, right? And they're outside, like looking right outside of the playing tournament. I think, yeah, they're the 12th seed. So they're in that same boat with the Minnesota Timberwolves, in my opinion, where it's like there are some positives with this team, but there are some glaring negatives. 17th in defensive efficiency, for example, right? So there are some negatives. I've seen games where De'Aaron Fox has 25 points, DeMar has 18 plus, Sabonis has 21 and 12, and they're still losing. So it seems to me like they've lost a little bit of that identity where when it boils down to what they're good at. Like you look at them a couple of years ago, they were one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. They were great in transition as well. So being able to get to that is something that they're not really clicking on the same like wavelength right now. So for me, I think they'll be able to turn it around to an extent. We'll see. But it is interesting how they're in this position right now, given the play of guys like De'Aaron Fox, guys like DeMar and Sabonis so far.
It's
But
very comparable to DeMar when he was on. Shout out to Chilltown in the building.
chill
What
out.
up? What up? What up?
What's going on? It's very comparable to when he was with the Bulls. Like that first season with the Bulls, Zach, Vooch, and DeMar all had individually good seasons when you look at their stats. But they
Right.
couldn't win shit down there. Like they lost 7. I mean, they won 7 of their last 28 games to end that season. That's how bad that stretch was for them. And this is really reminding me of that. Now, maybe they're getting it out the way early and they finished the season a lot stronger. I know Chilltown's just hopping in. Chill, we're talking about the Kings. How do you feel about the Kings start to the season so far? And is there still enough time for them to realistically turn this around?
Very disappointing considering what I thought was going to go on with Sacramento. I had them as a 50-plus win team, and the Western Conference isn't one of those conferences where you have a lot of wiggle room. We're in a space right now where you fall, 5 games, 6 games out of the playoffs. And it's an uphill climb for the rest of the season. You might find your way. You might find yourself on the outside looking in come the end of the season because, you're dealing with injuries. Not only dealing with injuries, you're dealing with teams playing better when we get to different stretches of the season. So I expected them to get off to a fast start. I thought that DeMar DeRozan would give them that in-between game that they didn't have. And I thought that he would make them much better. And it just hasn't been working. Don't get me wrong. They've had some guys out of the lineup. Malik Monk has been out of the lineup, and that kind of threw a monkey wrench in what they were trying to do. Other than that, they've been relatively disappointing because my point guard shouldn't have to get 60 in order for us to win. He shouldn't have to get 49 in order for us to win. We have plenty of talent here that we should be better. I'd like to see Keegan Murray look at the basket a little bit more. There's a lot more to be desired there from Keegan Murray, and it's just not happening. And that's the thing that's the most disappointing with me when it comes to Sacramento.
Yeah. Definitely the highlight on Keegan Murray, bro. I'd like it. It was so bad, Hayes, bro. Last week I didn't even tell you, bro. I put a bet in. Only thing I needed was like 7. It was like 7 picks, right? Had DeMar DeRozan 18, De'Aaron 25 plus, Sabonis like 10 plus rebounds, 20 points, something like that. Everything hit. but Keegan Murray 2+ threes. Nigga average 8 a game. How that happen? How you can't give me 2 threes? How you? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's going on in Sacramento right now? But to Chill's point, like I brought up earlier with you, Hayes, what their identity was 2 years ago when they were top of the league in offense and top of the league in 3-point percentage and top of the league in fast break points. They're 25th in 3-point percentage this year. They're 25th in fast break points this year. So my point being, they've lost that level of their sauce. And I don't know how in some ways, because like Chill said, it shouldn't take 60 points for y'all to be in games unless you are the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's a different story for a different day, or the Philadelphia 76ers like early last year when James Harden had gotten up out of there and all that. Like there's moments where you can point and be like, all right, cool, this is okay. The Kings, they're going to figure out a way to find a groove. But like Chill said, it's the Western Conference. So if you go on a 3-game skid and the Minnesota Timberwolves go or the Portland Trailblazers win 3 straight, you could find yourself going from the 12th seed to the 14th seed in a heartbeat if y'all go on a bad stretch. And it doesn't help with Malik Monk being in and out of the lineup, of course. But I mean, this team, to me, this team is deeper than what the record shows. Like I'm with Chill on this. I'm thinking 50 wins going into the season type shit.
If I'm not mistaken, Hayes, what's today's Tuesday? Just last Monday, the Lakers were the 4 seed. They're the 8 seed today.
Yeah.
They're the 8 seed. In a week, you could go from hosting a playoff series to being in a play-in tournament.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of wiggle room. You don't, because I feel like this conference is so compact. And I mean, the separation when we're talking about teams from probably, I think Oklahoma City and the Grizzlies, but Oklahoma City and Houston, and as of right now, they're the class of the Western Conference with Memphis right there. But then you get from Golden State to, I'm going to say maybe Denver or Minnesota. I mean, these guys from 4 to 11 is separated by 2.5 games.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
2.5 games. That's 1 week. You can go from hosting a playoff series to being out of the playoffs. Not just to play in, but out the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves right now on the outside looking in, they wouldn't even qualify for the play-in tournament right now in the Western Conference. You put them in the East, they're the 5th seed.
Making me look like a goofy. I had Minnesota representing the West. Making me look like
I
a straight
thought
goofy.
really big things about Minnesota too, even after that Julius Randle trade. And
great.
Yeah, it ain't working out for them too hard. It's been a struggle so far. Who's been your, since we're talking about disappointing teams, who's been each of your most disappointing teams so far on the season?
Philadelphia. They're garbage. At the bottom of the East.
It's Philly by far.
The worst record in the NBA, ZZ? Not the worst record in the East, not the worst record in the Atlantic, the worst record in the league. At one point, they were worse than Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, Washington.
They were worse
than
Washington.
Washington now, but yeah, that is bad.
At one point, they were worse than Washington. And I was trying to figure out between them and Milwaukee, because I was asked the question, who is going to turn this around faster in your estimation? I thought it was Milwaukee because, one, Giannis is going to be available. Dame is going to be available. The defense, we just needed more effort. I thought I felt like the schemes worked. Dame could, he could stop being switched on to 1s and 5s, and I felt like he was doing that more now, where he's grabbing Brook Lopez and getting him over to the 5-man instead of dying on the 5 or dying on ghost screens, stuff like that. He's not doing that as much as he did in the past. So I felt like they could turn it around quicker than what's going on in Philly. One, I mean, Joel Embiid, he's not playing tonight, by the way. He's not playing against tonight. Yeah, he's not playing against tonight. Paul George is still not available. This team could, and again, ZZ, as close as the Eastern Conference is and as bad as the Eastern Conference has been this season, I mean, you could play yourself back into the play-in tournament, but what Philly's been doing, it's just been so bad all the way around with Kelly O. With Kelly O. I mean, one of their better offensive players is KJ Martin. That's what's going on in Philly.
Yeah.
He's one of their better offensive players right now. He's one of their better scorers. They don't really get much from their backup lead guard. I forgot, and I was huge on Andre Drummond. I forgot he was there. I forgot Andre Drummond was there. So, I mean, this Philly team has been the biggest disappointment to me of all the teams.
By far. I would just harp on that some more. I really don't need to. The only thing I will say is Philadelphia, like in terms of expectations, like, hey, do you remember in fucking August, September, me, you, and Gifted talking about preseason predictions and team projections and all of that. When we talk about the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia was no lower than the 3rd seed in terms of preseason projections. And that was even with me knowing that there was going to be injuries along the way. The difference is, Mars, welcome, my brother. The difference is I knew that Joel Embiid was going to get hurt. I knew Paul George was going to be in and out potentially because of age. He's 34, and he's no saint when it comes to injury history. But within the last 3 years, he's been at least the most reliable person in Los Angeles. That's not saying much. But now you're in Philadelphia. You go from one injury-prone player to another injury-prone player, and I'm asking you, was it really about the money? Now, it's unfortunate that Paul George had to hyperextend. Oh, it was. I know, 100%, 1,000%. Now, Paul George hyperextending his knee twice is terrible. No one could have foreseen that. But this team is 29th in points per game, 29th in rebounds, 29th in second quarter points, 28th in third quarter points, 28th in fourth quarter points, like 29th in assists. Like it's just
the bottom of the league in field goal percentage. They're at the bottom of the league in guarding the long ball line. They're at the bottom of the league in shooting the long ball. They're at the bottom of the league in rebound. They're the worst, Hayes. The worst.
How can you get worse than this? Like that's insane. The only team that can challenge them for biggest shitbag team in the league is the Wizards, because they went scoreless. And I mean, not scoreless, winless, and they virtually went scoreless, but winless in November. So,
how do you not win a game in a whole month? I mean,
Detroit. If I'm not mistaken, weren't both the Wizards wins against the same team?
Yes, they beat Atlanta.
Yeah. How does that happen? And Atlanta has beat Cleveland twice this year. It's insane. I don't know what's going on, but
I'm on record with Atlanta. Atlanta is that chick that when she dress up, God damn, she's so fine. But boy, when you catch her without no makeup on, you catch her with clothes, she looks super whack. You like, shit, go in the house and put some clothes on. You look wild as hell right now. That's who Atlanta is.
We call her 500. That's
yeah. I mean, surprisingly, it sounds like a lot of females in Atlanta anyway. So that's kind of on brand. I mean,
she clean up, boy. She fine as hell, Hayes, boy. But catch her when she ain't got no makeup on. Catch her when that wig is off. Man, she looks super whack.
Catch her when you hear that lisp. All of that.
Yes. That's who Atlanta is. That's what I think they've won 4 straight, if I'm not mistaken. Atlanta's won 4 or 5 straight right now. So they rolling. But then what's going to end up happening with Atlanta, and I'm almost prepared to predict this, like right around Christmas, they're going to drop like 4 or 5 straight with Trey out the lineup. And then they're going to win another 3 or 4 in a row with Trey out the lineup. That's going to happen. I'm telling you that right now, because I saw them go to Los Angeles and blow the Clippers out with no Trey and Leonard in the lineup and Paul George in the lineup. They went in and blew them out. So that's who this Atlanta team is.
And the thing about Atlanta too is, like, I like a lot of Atlanta's young pieces on this team, a lot of them. And I just think that Atlanta, like, I don't know what it is that they want to hold on to Trey. I would move Trey personally. I get it that he's fitting in right now with the young guys, but like, you're so far away from actually competing in the East. And that's a lot to say. That's a lot to say in the Eastern Conference, and say that you're far off from really competing in the East. Teams in the Eastern Conference, they are such dangers of falling in with the fact that, we can compete for the play-in. That don't mean shit.
It doesn't.
In the East, it don't mean shit.
It's turning around though. It is turning around. We started with a bunch of teams that was super whack, and it is getting a little bit better. Milwaukee has gotten much better. They've climbed their way out from the 14 seed to the 5 seed, and I mean that says a lot about what the East is. When you could climb from, I mean, Utah's not climbing to the 5 seed. They're not doing that. No matter how many games they win in a row, that means that other teams have to go in the tank in order for Utah to climb from the 14 seed up to where Dallas is. Yeah. That's what has to happen. So, I mean, it says a lot about the East, but I expected Milwaukee to be around this spot right here. I had them as the 4 seed before the season started, and I had Orlando as the 5 seed. I had the Knicks as I had them as the 2 seed, and I had Cleveland as the 3 seed. So this thing is shaking up, kind of what I thought, except for Atlanta in the 6 seed. I mean, that's where I had Philly at, and where Philly is, that's where I had Atlanta at.
Yeah. You want to know what's crazy to me, both of y'all? You want to know what's crazy to me? How does Adrian Griffin get fired for being the 2nd seed? And like, we never saw him as the 15th seed, worst team in the NBA. We never saw that. and he got fired for it.
But
Doc
he got
Rivers,
set up from the goals, yo.
he did. You damn right he got set up from the go. And that's the thing that pissed me off because we talked about it. You, Chill, and Swiper in the Adam Silver and David Stern debate. Like, this could have been some ammunition against Adam Silver for the amount of times in which we have seen blasphemy when it comes to hiring positions. And you see Doc Rivers walking around here with a job after just getting fired 6 months prior, and everybody in the league knowing why he got fired, him knowing why he got fired, another playoff collapse, and then just somehow, some way, magically being able to be like, all right, y'all need y'all not even do y'all want to go in the right direction. Do y'all need a change in direction? I can help you with that. Milwaukee, for example, by the time when he got there, they fell off from the moment he got there. They got as high as the second seed and have done nothing but fall off since then. You can attribute it to injuries. You can attribute it to Chris Middleton being in and out of the lineup. You can attribute it to a lot of things. But the one thing that I was told when Doc Rivers got hired was, yeah, they fired Adrian Griffin because of the defense. I said, so you mean to tell me that they were 31-13? Defense was middle of the pack, and you didn't want to just ride out with that? You didn't want to roll the dice with that? Nah.
Well, it's also fishy too, Hayes, because Doc was there already. He was
right there plotting.
But listen, wait, it's gonna happen again. Because who's the top assistant for Doc right now? Darvin Ham. I'm just saying, may not be this season. It's gonna happen again.
Man. We'll go around, come around. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm just saying.
We'll go around, come around.
Look, Milwaukee's a shady city anyway. Like, this is what.
Yeah.
All of Wisconsin is shady in general. Like, at the end of the day, like, you just gotta. And any state known for cheese is a bit of a shady state.
I just didn't like the way that I just didn't like the way that happened. And the reason why I didn't like the way that happened is because I think Adrian Griffin is a good coach. I'm not sure that was his job. I actually had this conversation with the fellas. I'm not sure that was his job, but the way he got 86th, it could actually ruin him moving forward as a head coach because in such a short period of time, he gets ousted. And with him getting ousted, now it makes it look like he's incompetent. When in reality, he's been on the sideline for 14 years.
Yeah.
He clearly knows what he's doing.
Right.
But the fact that he got ousted the way he did, and with Terry Stouts leaving as quickly as he did, and then Doc Rivers on the sideline, consulting with management. Because Hayes, what it sounded like to me is it sounded to me like you consulting with me about your chick, and I'm telling you what to do. Meanwhile, I'm plotting to take her away from you. That's basically what I'm doing. That's essentially what I'm doing. I'm telling you, yo, listen, go get us some roses. I know for a fact she don't like roses. She like daisies. But I'm gonna tell you to go get her roses. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to take her to that Italian spot.
About Chill when he makes these analogies. Chill used to be out in these streets. That's what Chill is trying to tell.
I'm not gonna lie, yo. If we had camera phones back in the days, oh my goodness, it would be a lot of trouble. But I didn't like that though, Hayes. I didn't like the way that whole thing in Milwaukee went down because I feel like Adrian Griffin paid his dues to be a head coach, and I feel like he got ran out of there, and that just wasn't fair. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean he's been on bench since 2008.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's not in the NBA at all as an assistant. He's not on the back end at nobody's bench. So it's unfortunate because he worked his way up to get there. And he did work his way up to earn that opportunity, and it was taken away from him in the manner in which it was.
It's like Doc had money on bro's head. He said, look,
he really did.
I'm gonna let you go. You ain't gonna get far. Shit is crazy.
That's hilarious, man. Well, Chill, earlier you mentioned the Knicks and how you had them as I think you say you predicted them to be the second seed in the Eastern Conference. We're moving over into talking about the NBA Cup. You got the number one offensive rated team versus offensive rating in the New York Knicks coming up against the number one defensive rating team in the Orlando Magic today coming up in this NBA Cup game. This is an important game as they all are in the Cup. There's so many different scenarios in which the Cup games could go today, especially when you add in like the point differential and everything. But the winner between Orlando and New York today wins Group A in the Eastern Conference. How you guys feeling about this game? Number one offense, number one defense.
This one's gonna be a good one. And I was waiting on the Magic to turn it around. They had a slow start, but I kind of predicted that they would. This is a team that I've been high on since the summer because I said the acquisition of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope can only help them. It can only help them. You look at KCP's last 5 games, 19, 24, 16, with good defense to match. I said the thought of them looking at the development and the progression of Jalen Suggs, right? Not as an offensive player, as a defender. They said the offense will come, right? We'll get there. But on defense, he's always been fairly solid to great. Now you have KCP over there, the emergence and the production of Franz Wagner, the consistency of PB, not getting any love from the media for some reason, for doing incredible things in his second and third season in the NBA. The team has an identity, and I feel like they're a team that's like their identity is revolves around the fact that they can be counted out, that they can be the underdog on any given night. I thought that they were going to get bounced out in 5 games against Cavaliers last year in the first round.
And they should have, by the way. And they should have.
And what happened, Chill? It went to 7. So for me, when that happened, I looked at that and I said, you know what? Let me take a closer look at this team and see what they're really about. Getting KCP only has helped them offensively. And that's exactly what they needed. That's why they were the rumors for Klay Thompson getting a bag coming from Orlando was because they needed a shooter. They got a 3-and-D guy. They got a better option than what they were even looking for, throwing money at Klay Thompson. So to me, this is a team that's supposed to be reckoned with. This is a team that could be a sneaky team come postseason time if they got the right matchup. I mean, don't take them for granted. Now the Knicks, on the other hand, Karl Anthony Towns. Let's get this man a round of applause. Like that's what he deserves, because the way in which he has seamlessly fit into the system, I thought it was going to be questionable, and to an extent it was. But he's shooting less threes with Thibodeau with Tibbs than he was Coach Finch. Like the way his role in this offensive system is like, hey, look, you're the 5, so we can expand our offense. We can space the floor with you on the court, but we're not going to be that predictable. We don't want to be that predictable, do we? We can let you go off and get your point on the low block. We can let you do it at the elbow. We can let you drive through the cup, go through the lane, and get to your little and one or something. We can unlock all other elements of your game, and you can still be effective for us. That's what I've seen from Karl Anthony Towns so far. Jalen Brunson, elite point guard, underrated point guard. Hasn't really been getting a lot of love. He's been giving you that consistent like 25, but bro had 17 assists 3 games ago. Like the team, Josh Hart, consistent Iron Man for the team, about giving you that 8 rebounds a game. They need that. Jericho Sims, love what he's been doing so far this year as well for them.
Wish I could say I loved him, but I don't.
You don't love him too.
I don't. He just
the only reason that I love him, I'll say this, is because Mitchell Robinson, I knew was going to be a problem for them staying on the court. So my thought process was they might be in trouble unless they give Jericho Sims some minutes. And so far, in the little bits of spurts that he's had in these games, in terms of being a shot deterrent, at least in that field, he's done well.
He's clueless, Easy. He's clueless.
He went behind the ears, Chill.
Yes, he is. He has no idea what he's doing. Yeah, he has no idea what he's doing. He's one of those. I want to say he's big for nothing, but
I know what you mean.
He's a ridiculous athlete, but he just doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know what he's doing, and that can be a detriment to the Knicks. But I mean, with what Cat is doing, giving the Knicks that stretch big that they didn't have, I mean, I think that's been phenomenal for him. But that's not my issue, though, Hayes. My issue with the Knicks, more than anything, is I want to see Mikal Bridges get back to the defender that he is, and the way he does that is be a defender and not a scorer. We got bucket getters on this crew. Jalen Brunson, bucket getter. Cat, bucket getter. OG wanted to be more of a bucket getter. We have plenty of that. When he was in Phoenix, that was his role. He was the defender who got what was left, which was, it was in transition or it was on the wing where he was knocking down the mid-range. He goes to Brooklyn and he's averaging 25 a game, which is fool's gold, by the way. And everybody thinks that he's a bucket getter, which he's not. I'd like to see him get back to being a primary defender who can score and who can score in bunches. That's when he's been the most effective. That's where he is the most effective. He's got this hitch in his shot. He's changed that. All of the things that he's changed, the one thing he didn't change was him being a defender. That's what we have to get back to with him more than anything. As far as Orlando, I think they win this game tonight. I do. I think this is a trip to Vegas for these two teams. And if I look at Orlando's offense, it hasn't been great, but They do a lot of good things. They get to the free throw line. One of the main reasons why they get to the free throw line is Franz puts his head down, he gets to the rim. So with Franz getting to the rim, he gets to the free throw line. They're one of the best defensive teams in the game. That's largely due to Suggs. That's largely due to Isaac, right? So these guys, one of the better perimeter defenders in the game. The problem I'm having with them, ZZ, is one, they don't play with pace. They don't speed the game up. You would think that as good as they are defensively, whether it's on the wing, whether it's on the block, you would think that they would speed the game up a little bit more, but they don't. They're not a fast team, which they should be. I feel like, and maybe that's coaching. And I like Jamal Mosley as a coach, but maybe that's coaching. But I like what defensively, this team has won a lot of games, and I feel like that's what their staple is. And if they can continue to do that, I think they'll win more games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what the Magic have been able to do, like I'm not surprised by where they're ranked right now in the Eastern Conference. I'm surprised that they've done it without Paolo Banchero being there. He's been out, and that has really made me change my perspective on this team as a whole. Like, if they're able to do this, and yes, their offense is rough, but if you're able to do this and be still this sound defensively, when you do get Paolo back and what he looked like, the way he was looking like he was going to make the next step up offensively this year. This could be a very dangerous team in this Eastern Conference as it goes on, man. You just got to get Paolo healthy, and I think that they are probably still a player away from truly like being a championship contender, but they're right there in that Eastern Conference, man.
Yeah. To your point about the pace too, they're I think like 26th in pace or 28th.
One of the slowest teams in the league in pace. They don't play fast at all.
Yeah, offensive rating is like 23rd or something like that too. Yeah. But if they can sustain with just the defense alone, that would be impressive to me. Because that's like it's not impossible for a team to make a deep run with defense being their primary focus on who they are as a basketball team.
Cleveland did it.
Exactly. So offense can come when it comes, but if they can sustain it, I'm going to give full credit to everybody involved. That would be insane.
Cleveland did it 100%, and I think Orlando can do it too. And when they get Paolo back, he just adds another element. The reason why I didn't bring Paolo up because they've been rolling without him, so it's almost like forgotten. And he has not. You don't forget a 20-7, 20-8 guy. No, you don't forget that. But they've been rolling without him, and when he comes back to the lineup, he's going to give them an element that they didn't have, which is a better distributor, a better scorer. So maybe their offense will pick up. I just think that more than anything offensively, I feel like they got to play faster than they do. They don't play fast enough. And in this league, with the athletes that you have in the NBA, you got to pick the pace up. You have to play faster. And they don't play fast enough for me.
Yeah. I need more shooting from them too, because I talked about KCP, wanting to see how that improves them. They're 30th in 3-point percentage. So that's even more impressive that they're still able to be mediocre on offense, but still be able to pull off wins.
But only got one long ball shooter, CZ. That's KCP. That's it.
Yeah. And
Franz doesn't shoot it like that.
Franz don't shoot it like that, but he be shooting. All right. He one of them where I'm like, yo, like if you ain't got a clip like that, I don't need to be seeing 6 3-point attempts. All right. Like, calm it down. Let's go 4, and then we good. Cat, we know Cat is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, big man shooter ever, and his attempts are probably career lows this year. Haven't double checked it, but just based off of what I know from him having 1 3-pointer made, 2 3-pointer made games, it's not the same as it was in Minnesota, clearly. So, yeah.
Fellas, I got to bounce.
All right, man.
See you dudes. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me up. I will let you guys do your thing. You know where to find me at. Take it light, fellas. Be easy.
Sir. Easy. See you, Keys. See you, Joe.
Yeah, Alex Lee in the building. This is kind of off topic, but will the NBA extend the 3-point line in the future? I feel like the players shooting way too many threes, and it definitely makes the product dull and uninspiring. Huge fan of your content, by the way. That's a great question there.
Yeah. It's tough to say.
Crazy.
It's tough to say, Chill, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for me, because here's the thing. I don't know how you feel about like the 3-point revolution is one thing, right? I do feel like there has been heavy inflation on 3-point attempts to the point where the product itself looks like a shootout 9 times out of 10 when you turn on an NBA game. So with that being said, and guys showing, it's not that many guys in the league that really have a long ball, like deep 3-point shot like that. Steph, Dame, maybe Derek White and Peyton Pritchard are in that mix for now. Donovan Mitchell when he's really going, possibly, and LeBron when he looks at the ball. But that's it. Like, I don't really see a lot of guys that are shooting that much. But if with the influctuation of threes, with the inflation on threes, do you think that is out of the realm of possibility? Because I don't like if they extend it, then it might be more of a challenge. And then it's like, do you really want to shoot this three? As opposed to, taking it to the cup or shooting 25 to 33s a game. Like, I can see that.
I mean, I think if the NBA were to make a change like that of extending the 3-point line, we're probably another decade away from that happening. But
Facts,
I can see the reasons why that could happen. You got more mobile big men coming to the league. It opens up spacing yet again. It creates more mid-range shots again for you. It takes more of a competitive balance there. I could see it happening eventually. I just don't think it's like anything that'll happen soon, if that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah. I feel you on that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into the next NBA Cup game. Detroit, Milwaukee. The winner of this advances to the East B group as the East B group champion. First of all, the fact that we're talking about Detroit and Milwaukee, considering the thought of how Detroit season ended last year and the way that this season started off for Milwaukee, is important. But either one of these teams are still going to be alive in the wild card hunt. It comes down to point differential. Who you got winning this one, though, Easy?
Honestly, man, Milwaukee. I think that they've turned a corner as a team. And because I was like, man, you have rough starts, you do. But then again, after a while, you're gonna look around the locker room and be like, all right, Chris still not here. All right, what can we do? Like what can we do differently with what we got? And that's what they've been doing for the last 6 games. I think that they're hungrier because I mean, if you got your best player Giannis going off on random media members or random people in the locker room after losses, it probably instilled some confidence into them to be like, all right, let's figure out how we can attack from all angles and get the best out of each other. And another thing too, when Giannis isn't there, just know Dame is going to have 30 plus. Because I swear, like when Giannis isn't there, Dame's game is it's just like Portland. Like that aspect of his game hasn't went away at all. So if they ever had to rely on him to get them through a game without Giannis, like he can do that. They are a different team when it's just him leading the way. That's where he's giving you like 37 and 10. And so they have different variations of what's made this team good, at least within the last 6. But between the two teams, I trusted Milwaukee more. Detroit's been nice, but Giannis is out tonight. Is he? In that case, bet you Dame will have 30 plus.
Yeah, he's going for that. I think Milwaukee comes away with this one. Now, the interesting thing about this and the interesting thing overall in the NBA Cup is the wild card. So, for example, we both said that we got Milwaukee winning. They can't lose by more than 5 points if they want to stay in, but if we got them winning, cool. It's cool there. Now, Orlando, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Boston will all be in the wild card hunt, regardless if they win or lose. But New York can't advance if they lose because of the point differential. They have a worse point differential than the Boston Celtics. So it comes down to it. Orlando has the biggest buffer. They have a plus 60 point differential. But the Magic, they would have to lose by less than 37 points to get in as a wild card team. They're not losing by more than 37 points. They're going to get in. So regardless of the win or lose between Orlando and New York, Orlando's basically guaranteed to get in as a wild card. That then would leave the loser between the Pistons and the Bucks. They would need the Magic to beat the Knicks or to have the best chance of getting in the wild card, or Boston would advance as a wild card team if Orlando wins and the margin of victory between Detroit and Milwaukee is more than 7 points.
That's a whole lot of ors.
They need to make this more simple. I love the fact that the point differential means that it's not just about wins or losses. But listen, I'm not a mathematician. They're going to have a tracker on the corner of all of these games to show the point differential, because I tell you what, this day may end and I may be still looking like, what?
Well, so what does that mean for because the Mavericks have a plus 41 differential in West Group C, but the Warriors
haven't the West yet. But yeah, go ahead.
But once we get there, I want you to break that down for me as best you, because you did a pretty good job. But honestly, they do need to make it a little bit more simple, because I'm looking at West Group A and Houston is 3-0 plus 49 point differential. So they're gonna be a wild card team. If what you told me registered in my brain correctly, they're gonna be a wild card team regardless. Just like the Magic, in this case, having a plus 60-point differential. So we said win or lose, the Magic are going to be in there regardless, right?
Yeah. Win or lose, Magic, unless they lose by more than 37 points. If
Unless
they get
lose
a
by more than
40-point
30.
blowout,
Mm-hmm.
they not in there.
Okay. Well, yeah. So we gonna they did need to make that more simple, but I got Milwaukee coming out of that, and then as far as East Group C goes, shit, I don't even want to bet against Atlanta because they're so weird. Like Atlanta's always just like as soon as you count them out the most, they'll show you that they can at least get one. So and this might be that one.
Yeah, and with you bringing it like in the West, Houston's already clinched their group because they got wins. So because they're 3-0, they've already clinched. So they're going to end it regardless.
And the Warriors too. Warriors. Okay, that makes sense. That makes
already
sense.
clinched as well. So it really just comes down to Group B's, the only one left up in the West, and that comes down to this. Are we ready to move into the West? I got to do more math now. All right. So the San Antonio Spurs will clinch Group B if they win over the Suns outright. So that's great, right?
Okay.
OKC Thunder advances as a group winner if they win over Utah and San Antonio loses. Okay. But Phoenix can still win the group, but they would need the San Antonio and OKC. They would need the San Antonio Spurs, and they would need to beat them, and they would need the OKC Thunder to get upset by the Utah Jazz by at least 5 points.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more simple as far as the last group remaining there because there's only one group left. So it's either going to be the Spurs or it's going to be the OKC Thunder. No, it's not because it could still be Phoenix as well. They would have to beat San Antonio and they would need the Thunder to lose by at least 5 points to the Jazz.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to pick the Thunder to come out of that one just because. I mean, the Spurs might, honestly. Phoenix is weird to me. I don't know. They're good, but they're not. Something about them. I don't know. I'll figure it out probably in a week. But it's something about the Suns where I looked at them and I'm like, yeah, they're going in a good direction from getting swept last year, but I don't know. And then the Spurs, like that's a good team. I don't care what nobody says. Spurs got a good team. All right, from Wemby to CP to Julian Champagne to Keldon Johnson off the bench, they got a good team. The Clippers, despite being 1-2 in what's it called, cup play, they got a good team. Like, don't be confused. They got defenders, they got length, they got James Harden. Sometimes reminding us of his MVP days, but like the fact that West Group B, you got the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Suns. Either one of them could do it, but I would probably I'd probably have it go Thunder, Spurs, and Suns, just because the Thunder's defense is also like that. Like they're different too. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, the most realistic scenario, because it can get into the weeds in the West, is that Dallas, OKC, Phoenix, and Portland all finish at 3-1. If that's the case, the OKC Thunder would win West Group B, and the wild card would then come down to a point differential between Mavs and the other teams. Now, the Mavs are almost guaranteed to get the wild card, mainly because they have a plus 41 point.
Yep.
So unless they get blown out, or other teams have a huge scoring output today, it's probably going to be the Dallas Mavericks in there as the wild card.
Or without Luka too.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So, yeah. So
I love the cup, bro, but it's so confusing.
Listen, the wins and losses, that part is easy to track, but them adding in the point differential to make that be a thing that makes a difference in these, you got to sit down. I literally had to sit down and have one side of the paper and another side of the notes, and I still don't all the way know if I even have a full grasp. So I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I did the best I fucking could, y'all.
Bro, no, it's crazy. They act like everybody that's watching the cup is Chris Paul. Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think that the NBA Cup has been a really exciting thing. It's been, I was down on the Cup the first year of it. I didn't expect to like it. I didn't expect for it to be what it turned into. But the NBA Cup has been really exciting. These teams compete. They try to put up the crazy points for the point differential at that point in time. The East, of course, everything's closer in the East than it is in the West. A lot of things have been decided in the Western Conference. But the fact that on the last night of group play, there's still so much up in air. I think that shows that it's a pretty interesting thing. How do you feel about the NBA Cup overall, Z?
I love it, man. Like I didn't know what to expect when they first introduced it, I just knew that LeBron was winning it somehow. But outside of that, like it's been like you can tell when it's a cup game, and that's the thing that I like the most is that it's a different energy than just a regular national televised game, and that's something that they needed because you remember like the reason that they brought the cup into fruition was because they were like, okay, ratings are down and people are saying that players aren't taking the regular season seriously. Let's give them a reason to watch games in October and November. And it worked. It totally worked. So it just I love it. Like you said, I wish it could be a little bit more easier to retain for everybody. But I mean, once you watch it and you start to understand the cadences of like teams and how they go about late game scoring, stat padding is what some people would call it, but it's easy. Like it's easy to love, I guess is what you could say.
That's a fact. Petty says it ideally makes in the games matter regardless of win or loss. Yeah, because
exactly.
Even if you're out and you lost the game, if you can get that point differential lowered, you still stay alive. I'm just glad. Listen, I love anything that makes the playoffs a little bit more interesting. But if they ever brought a point differential into the playoffs, I'm just gonna look at whatever ESPN tells me, bro. I can't do this math at this level anymore, bro. I'm too far away removed from school to be doing this shit. I'm old, y'all. I'm old. That's what it comes down to. I'm fucking old.
Nah, you good, fam.
Hey man, listen, bro. I be trying, man. Like that shit be hurting my head sometimes, my brother. But yeah, man. Listen, that's all I have prepared for today. You got anything left, Z?
Nah, man. I'm ready to watch these games, brother.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna turn y'all early today, man. We're gonna go ahead and let y'all go watch these games. They've already started. And so yeah, y'all can sit down with y'all and do y'all math right now. But all that we know out of all of this is that the Philadelphia 76ers do indeed suck ass.
They do.
And that's the thing, the prevailing thought coming out of this episode. If you don't leave with nothing else, know that the 76ers suck. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We'll be back on Thursday. Hopefully, Gift is back as well. We'll have the exact seeding in the NBA Cup tournament as well by then, so we don't have to think too much on that one. We'll be talking about that on Thursday as well, man. Love you guys, man. Peace, y'all. Thanks.
Peace, y'all.